Like, I can't believe I'm saying it, but this show has way more depth than any of us were given credit. So it's time to peek some more Villager, a level 999. Do me a solid. Make sure you leave a like, this video, share, support, subscribe, ring that bell if you haven't already, and Patreon is where you'll catch the full live reactions to all these episodes and more. You can also hype the video if you're on the YouTube app to help push it to more people. Let's jump into it. See if this episode continues the trend of it being surprisingly great. It's such a crazy way to get across a difference of power. She's out here putting up a magical barrier, and it's shattering. So we immediately get a visual idea of what the strength is, only for Buddy to come in with 4 arms and stop it. Does he have adamantium infused into his skeleton? Is he Wolverine? She might be salvageable. She ain't seeming as much of a racist bitch. There's something in her that can be changed. This whole party, including the male hero, might join the harem when it's all said and done. Let him cook. If we're not being racist, I'm heading out. We traded our titties for muscles. That's right. Start swinging. Come on, mama. Bro's entire life is just tragedy. Okay, I wasn't strong enough to protect fucking dad, so I'm gonna get strong enough to protect everyone. Mom's dead. It's crazy too, because it almost feels like the end of an anime where, like, finally we've come together to fight the big threat, and this is only episode 4. I fear I owe this show an apology, and I've actually been one of the biggest offenders. I've been, by all accounts, glazing this show, but I've been doing so because I'm like, hey, you know, you think it's gonna be a mid kind of... It's not isekai, right? But in that same kind of fantasy department if you remove the reincarnation element, right? But this episode made me completely do a 180, reevaluate this show, and I realized there is so much depth to the writing beyond just being a silly, funny show. Because last week was some of the hardest I've laughed all year. It was that hilarious. When you deal with a show with an MC who says, hey, we live in a world with demons, but I don't think demons need to be eliminated. The entire world is out here saying demons are evil. I'm okay with that because, you know, I was kind of looking at it as, you know, they're no different than humans. Do we blame an entire group of humans, our entire species, because someone does something bad? No, we punish the person. But as soon as we get into a different species, that's when it's like, okay, but we need to eradicate all demons because a demon lord did something bad. A lot of presidents, a lot of kings do a lot of bad things. Do we need to destroy an entire country for that? The fact that they highlighted with a single flashback, and they just added that cherry on top to give him such depth. It's one thing to have a backstory where your father gets murdered by a monster brutally before your eyes. That naturally is going to trigger you to be stronger, right? Because they're establishing that our MC does not fear death. That is the thing that separates him from pretty much everyone else in the show. He literally does not fear death. It's not like a hero who in the show is like, well, I would die for people. It's different. We believe you would die for people, but there's a difference between being willing to die versus literally just not fearing it at all. It makes him a completely different monster, which indirectly pushes him into becoming stronger after this moment, because I was too weak to save my father, I'm gonna hustle. And we learn in this episode that his villager class, because of how it's structured, they grow a lot faster than your other classes because they're constantly just thrown into the face of death. But normally they would not have the ability to fucking big dick through when your skill set is so limited. What blew me away is how they immediately did this. Losing your father to a monster and losing your mother because of bandits, human bandits. Half of his family eliminated by monsters, half of it eliminated by humans. He would be a hypocrite to say, all monsters need to be eradicated, but not humans in this situation. And immediately when I saw what they were doing here, I said, oh my, this might be one of the most justified MCs right from the get-go of why he's so, like, he thinks it's so stupid to be racist towards monsters. Because while he has definitely lost things from them, he's lost things from humans too. And if it was just that, I don't think I'd be like, damn, I was wrong. I was too harsh on the show, because I've been very positive. But I've been very positive to the show because I think it's funny, and it's surprisingly, you know, it doesn't take itself too seriously, right? Like, it's like, okay, you know, it's a funny, goofy little show. But this guy, remember when we got introduced to him and he was the harem king? Bro straight up denied everyone access to his heroes party who wasn't a hot girl. That shit was funny. And then we start building into the jokes about how RMC is going to steal this man's harem. Because if you watch the opening, right, it looks like he ends up with her in his party. Nope. This show's more deep than I was given credit. Turns out we might have everyone in this scene in our party. Now, it's possible we don't fully travel with them forever, but I'm actually starting to believe we might have the entire Heroes party with us on our journey to go meet the Demon King. And even if not, they're already establishing they are better than just their initial introductions. Like, I'm not going to deny Miss Purplehair is still a very hostile racist towards demons. But there was actually a moment in this episode where, like, her mask kind of went off for a second, and I got the impression she has the possibility to have a change of heart, which I really didn't think possible. I think we're building in to this show not just being some Team Rocket goofiness where we keep bumping into them at the restaurant and then they chase after us, but instead, we're all going to learn together. And if that's actually the case, this show is going to go crazy. Like, dead ass. I do think, in terms of brand new shows, right? We're like, not the sequels, not the carryovers, brand new anime. Do you think there are shows that are more impressive both on a visual front, a story front, everything? You got Sparks of Tomorrow from Kyoto Animation, one of the most beautiful and just mesmerizing shows of the season. You got Witch of Mongolia. But this might be my current favorite that I'm watching. But, like I said, I do think there are better shows than it. And the production is nothing to write home about, right? One of my favorite things, it was kind of like a Where's Waldo? If you pay attention to her character design specifically throughout this episode, they try very hard to make her chest consistent in size, even though her proportions everywhere else keep going off. And they don't keep this consistent in size either. But I just love trying to figure out how they're gonna keep things certain consistent. I don't know, man. Like, this show, it's not gonna get too much praise. Some will try to say I'm giving it too much praise, right? It's not that good. But I've seen so many shows where you do have that MC who's like, you know, I've suffered bad things at the hands of demons, but this is why I don't want it. And I think the justification of, you just naturally think like, well, do we want to eliminate all humans because someone, no, like, you judge the person by their actions. You don't, that's how racism, that's how discrimination gets into this toxic mindset. But by establishing that I lost half of my family to humans, half to demons, you understand his villager class and his pursuit for power to protect. The fact that this man went up against an army of 10,000, him, 1 versus 10,000. Only a man with no fear of death could do that. And the fact that you're adding in that the Heroes Party might have more depth than just this, like, stereotypical goofy-ass gimmick, they're cooking. Maybe it won't remain to be this good forever, but between the laughs of, even in this episode, some great laughs, but the laughs of last week and the depth of the writing this week, yeah, the production could be so much better, but it's not so bad that it makes your eyes bleed, so I can tolerate it. Great fucking episode. Your thoughts down below. What did you think? Do you like this one as much as me? Got a different feeling? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to leave a like, share, support, subscribe, ring that bell, and yes, Patreon full live reactions over there, and other exclusives, because you know I gotta give those video shoutouts too, because my patrons are what make this YouTube channel possible. So today we got Ampto Writer, Dark Shadow DX, Talix Rune, Rumham, and we also have Robert Sanders. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and you have a good one.